Ladies and gentlemen, joining us now is a World Series champion, a multi-time MVP, an absolute stallion, a man who has literally rode the waves of life to the epic highs in the wild lows, and now has found himself an owner of a team in the NBA, a media member in the baseball, and a real estate mogul. Ladies and gentlemen, Alex Rodriguez.
Yeah!
How are you?
What's up, Pat? How you doing, man?
Dude, I'm great. Thank you for coming on the show. Obviously, you're an icon, a legend, one of the biggest names in the history of America's pastime. So thank you for taking time. You look great, A-Rod. You look great.
I'm going to take off my jacket just so I feel more comfortable. Hold on.
Are you jocked? Are you still
Yeah,
jocked?
still jocked. Yep.
Still joked.
I wish I had a tan top. And Pat, I got to say that I'm honored to be on your show, but you must be disappointed because I'm like A-Rod 2 but not the big star A-Rod is Rodgers. So I'm like number 2 now.
Oh, yeah. You know, because AJ,
I'm in a good.
you need to know this, though. Like, AJ, whenever, I was just learning of the Aaron Rodgers, he would just casually call him A-Rod in conversation. And every time it was said, I thought of you. I'm like, fuck, Alex Rodriguez?
Whoa.
Okay, I did not know that Aaron Rodgers was called A-Rod. And then now it makes so much sense, and I call him A-Rod. So I guess we are, something just crashed. I mean, something just absolutely crashed.
I did play a little football in high school. I was number 13, trying to be like Dan Marino in Miami. Everyone tries to be like Dan, but I wish I can throw the ball like my man Aaron Rodgers. He is awesome. I'm a huge fan of his.
Okay, so let's dive into that. You're at Seattle and then Texas, then you come to New York, the big city, the big lights, and obviously we've learned of your story, the decision you made, why you made it, the pressures you felt. I couldn't even imagine what it would have been like coming to New York, especially as an established superstar with a lot of expectation. Aaron is having to do the same thing. What is he going to experience, and how do you think he's going to get through it?
Well, first of all, I mean, he's so much more mature than I was. He's very, very, very smart. And he's already a GOAT, right? He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Hopefully he can do some great things for the Jets. I know New York is thrilled to have him. But I think he's going to be just fine. He's going to, and by the way, I love the way he's leaning into it. He's having fun. He's at concerts. He's at Knicks games. That's exactly what New York wants to do. And you just got to go out and perform and have fun and be yourself.
Okay.
Yeah, he is. He's definitely having fun right now. And we see he's in like the honeymoon phase. I feel like he's sitting courtside at all these games. Everyone loves him. Teammates love him. How do you think people react if they don't win a bunch of games, A-Rod?
Well, I mean, look, the Jets, it's really nothing to lose, right? I mean, he can be Joe Namath 2.0. And the fact is that we can lift the New York Jets to heights. I mean, the Jets fans, and Pat, you know this, right? Like, they're ready to go. I mean, they've suffered a lot. They're great fans. They're smart. They're passionate. And now they have their guy, which is awesome.
Yeah, I've enjoyed watching them kind of take him in because I think a couple years ago, he had some thoughts and opinions and did some stuff that maybe a lot of people on the East Coast did not really appreciate, you know?
Owners of
and
teams.
now it's like, hey, yeah, and owners of the team we're not very grateful for. Now it's like, welcome to the city. We got a hippie out here now. Okay, yeah, you're our hippie now. Let's kind of do this thing. I'm excited to see the success, and I'm excited to see your success as well, A-Rod. And I mean, let's just dive right into it. I didn't play baseball growing up. I did play in the farm league though.
That's right, you did.
333 on base percentage. Guy overthrew first base after having contact. No big deal. Broke my thumb and pulled my hamstring. Tough sport. But I haven't been in the baseball world. But obviously I knew about you because you're a superstar of the baseball world. As you're going through your entire run as the MLB star that you are, and then everything kind of collapses there. As you were made the face, and we talked about this earlier, you were made the face of something that like hundreds of other people were also a part of. And now we know that with like kind of looking back on it. But at the time, it was like, this guy is the reason that baseball has a bad reputation. This guy's been cheating. Fuck this guy. Everybody was saying that, A-Rod. Like, everybody.
Yeah.
How did you end up coming back from that? I think as somebody not that mentally, I would have been devastated and broken from that. How did you bounce back to where you are now? I feel like this is one of the biggest climbs in like the court of public opinion's eyes.
For sure.
Maybe of all, I don't want to say all time, but maybe of all time from where you were to now. Like mentally, was there ever any doubt like you were going to be back ever or, anything like that?
Pat, I got to tell you, everything you just mentioned, and look, AJ, you guys have both been, athletes, you both have been in the limelight. And, I think, Pat, you may be accurate. It might be one of the biggest falls of all time because I played for the great New York Yankees, for the great George Steinbrenner. I was the highest paid player in the game. I played with one of the great icons in Derek Jeter, Mariano Rivera, Andy Pettit. So I felt all those things, depression. I felt, like a pariah. And to do it in the biggest stage and to fall from, I was a first ballot Hall of Famer. I was probably that 5-6 years ago before I got in trouble. And to think, I remember I was sent emails, Pat and AJ, and people wouldn't write back to me. It was terrible. It was like, and here's what I think why I came back. My biggest guess is I looked in the mirror and basically said, I have no one to blame but the guy I'm looking at, and taking full accountability. Serving a suspension cost me probably over $50 million. I lost the respect of my fans, my teammates, my mom, my daughters, let them down. And I think when you face reality and you can come back and man up, I was fortunate to get a break. I heard your intro where I came back and at 40 years old, 2 knee surgeries, 2 hip surgeries. No one thought I would even make the team. And at 41 years old, I hit 33 home runs, led the team back to the playoffs. And, it was, thank God for me, a happy ending.
Yeah, absolutely. There had to be some tough times in there, though. You should be proud of yourself there, dude. Yeah. Okay, obviously you're rich and you live good and everything like that, but you're a human.
You are too, by the way.
Yeah,
I want to say congrats to you.
Okay. I'm trying to, we'll see. Let's take it easy. There's numbers being reported. They're not right. But nonetheless, you're a human at the end of the day who has, emotions and feelings. Even the people that are, the biggest narcissist of all time, somewhere there is a feeling of being a human in there. And I'm not saying you're that. I'm just saying humans in whole, however people view you or did view you, it's like at the end of the day, a human is in there. And with it felt like everybody, for you to fucking come back out of there, it's very inspirational, dude. You should be incredibly proud of it, honestly. AJ, go ahead, pal.
Did you have any idea, I guess, at how good you would be on TV analyzing the game of baseball? I know Pete Rose isn't there anymore. When you and Pete would go back and forth talking about what you're looking at when you're hitting at the plate, that was awesome. It made me feel like I was learning so much, especially, and also I could see how passionate you and Pete both are about the game of baseball and how you're still fans now. Is that something you thought you might get into while you were still playing?
Yeah, great question, AJ. I think this is where I am a little bit like Aaron Rodgers, the real A-Rod, is that he's a football geek. I'm a baseball geek. I love the game. I study it. I remember when I played, I would come home in my apartment in New York, and I would go and put 4 or 5 games, all the West Coast games, the Dodgers, the Padres, the Oakland A's, the Anaheim Angels. And I was just studying because I knew that, the next week or two I'll be playing those teams. And I just love the game. Then the question became about TV is, can I articulate a compelling story, taking a complex subject and make it commercial and digestible. And Pat and AJ, you guys both do a fantastic job, but it's not a given. It's not a layup. And I worked hard at it. I have an incredible crew with Fox, with Kevin Burkhardt, Poppy, and now the great Derek Jeter is going to join us. All right, there you go, Pat. I like that. Let me see that stroke.
Come on. Well, there's a big conversation about this, A-Rod. There's a big deal. So I didn't play baseball.
Sure.
All right, yeah, we're not sure. We're not sure what I am. I played in that farm league game, righty, but I didn't even step into a what are those? I didn't even step into a cage before this game. The only thing we did is Ty Schmidt here, who's the biggest Yankee fan I've ever met, who was very excited.
Attaboy, Ty.
Yeah, he loves you. He's you and him about to have a great conversation, but he played college baseball and everything like that. So my only preparation for this farm league game was he was throwing me hockey balls, like deck hockey balls, and they were moving, I think 70, 80 miles an hour or whatever, and I was making contact with them, and it happened 20 times. And then boom, we're in a batter's box against a pitcher that got drafted to the fucking Brewers.
Yeah, that's right.
Something like that. In this farm league throwing 92 or whatever. But I batted righty because I played hockey growing up righty. So I just assumed it was. But then immediately after the game, I started I'm like, man, it feels a lot more natural. You know what I mean? It feels a lot more natural because I think when I was a kid, the only thing I knew about baseball was Ken Griffey Jr.'s swing. So I think there was an era where I was doing the Ken Griffey Jr. swing, where you kind of let it go. So I think I'm supposed to be a fucking lefty, A-Rod. I think I'm supposed to be a lefty, but I'll never actually find out the answer. But I was watching, AJ brought up you and Pete Rose. There was one segment that I watched where you guys were actually in the batter's box with the plate there, and I know nothing about baseball. I enjoy watching the World Series, and when they go to that fucking farm.
Oh, yeah. Field of Dreams, baby.
Yeah, the Field of Dreams one. That one's awesome. Like the special events, I think baseball does very well. I think it does very well. But Pete Rose was like, well, if I'm a little bit slow on the ball on a day, I'm just going to move back, he said. And he said, if I'm a little bit fast, I'm going to move up. If I feel like I'm getting jammed, I'm just going to move back. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, that is like, I didn't even think about that being the actual thing. And then you added in, yeah, and also if the pitcher's doing this. So what AJ said there, I would like to echo the sentiment. When you two started talking about it, me as somebody that didn't know baseball, felt as if I was getting like a 101, 201, 301, and a 401 all at the same time. Because I think what people forget is, like, you're one of the most talented fucking hitters in the history of the game, right, A-Rod?
Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. Whole life you just bomb balls? Is that real?
No, I was a little bit of a slow starter, but, it's interesting, AJ and Pat, you guys mentioned that piece. We thought the cameras were off, right? And we were just having a real conversation. And I was asking questions that I was actually intrigued. But if you think about Pete Rose, he's a living legend. Whether you like him or not, numbers don't lie. He's the greatest base hit hitter of all time. But to think about it, it would be like watching Da Vinci, write or paint and Picasso paint. And he's a modern day legend. And, if any kid's out there that wants to learn about hitting, you should watch that YouTube clip. I think it got like 25, 30 million views like in 24 hours. But it was all about Pete Rose and him talking about his approach, what to think, the mental approach, choking up, righty, lefty. I was fascinated. And then they said, hey, by the way, guys, we recorded this. We're going to launch it. And I'm telling you, in 24 hours, it did like 20 million views. And that tells you a lot about who Pete Rose is.
Yeah, and what state of baseball and what people are interested in. And obviously, you're acting like you're just asking the questions. You're asking great questions because you're fucking also, one of the greatest hitters of all time. That's a great piece of content. Hope you continue to crush the media game forever. Ty Schmidt absolutely loves you. Has a question for you.
Yeah, A-Rod, you mentioned it. Still first ballot Hall of Fame in my book. No question about that. I never really understood the kind of vitriol you got from Yankees fans. You're still one of my favorite Yankees of all time, and I'm glad watching the your media run, how people have kind of got to see that, and it's come around a little bit. But I'm curious, you said you're a baseball geek. Do you like the new rules they've instituted this year, like the pitch clock and getting rid of the shift and all that kind of stuff? Because I still watch baseball all the time, but we talk about it, like with the rise of the NFL, do you think these new rules are going to bring enough kind of new fans to baseball over the course of the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Todd. I actually love the new rules. You got to give Commissioner Rob Manfred and Tony Clark a great deal of credit. Look, not everything's going to be perfect, but in a world where baseball is so married to its great history, to be able to pivot and make some progressive moves, I think the time clock has an opportunity to bring baseball back, bring the glory days back, and eliminating the shift is perfect. Because to that conversation we were just having about Pete Rose, the idea of hitting the ball line to line, the great John Olerud, thinking about Rod Carew, Ichiro, George Brett, all the great players, Derek Jeter, they're rewarded by hitting the ball line to line, and a little bit of that was lost. So I do like the rules. I think baseball's in a good place. They have as many young great players as we've had in decades, so I'm excited about baseball.
Shohei, the best player of all time, huh?
I'll tell you what, I don't know about that, but he is the greatest show of all time. I've never seen a guy that could be that good. And I'll give you one thing that was amazing about the World Baseball Classic game in Miami, which we covered for Fox, Poppy, me. We had Big Hurt, Kevin Burkhardt. There was 70 million people watching that game. Now, most of them were in Japan, in the morning of Japan. But it just gives you an idea that baseball, if marketed right, it can bring the glory days back to where they belong.
Hell yeah, we watched the World Baseball Classic. Mm-hmm. I absolutely loved everything. It's interesting because in baseball somehow, even though I think a lot of us casuals are like, if you have a good pitcher, you're going to have a good team. Like, that's how it goes. That Angels team, having Shohei and Trout, it had to get explained to me like 4 or 5 different times during the World Baseball Classic. I'm like, okay, so our captain is the best player of the generation? Yeah. He's on what team? The Angels. Okay. The Japan team, their best player of a generation. Mm-hmm. He's on what team? He's on the Angels. Yeah. Who are the Angels? The Angels stink. How's that happening? How's that even What is that? Is that going to be how it's always going to be?
I would just say, look, there's plenty of teams, I guess, in football that unless you're a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers or Peyton Manning or Joe Montana, Tom Brady, if you're a great defensive end or linebacker, there's an opportunity for you to be all pro, be one of the best of all time, and still your team, if you don't have the right supporting cast,
gotcha.
You may end up in last place or middle of the road.
Gotcha.
Baseball is very, very hard to win with one or two players. If you think about the Yankees and when they won 4 championships in 5 years, 1 through 25, they were loaded. They were stacked. And they built that team like a great architect with great balance, ability to hit for power, pitch, bullpen, the greatest bullpen of all time with Mariano Rivera.
Hell yeah.
So it really is a team effort in baseball.
Yeah, that's what I think I learned through that entire thing because you get a guy hit a couple dingers, got a good pitcher.
That's it.
What are we're winning games. And then they're like, yeah, I got best. This guy actually hits good too. He's the best pitcher and he also hits good. And then he got the best American baseball player in maybe forever or whatever. And this guy, it's like, and the team just can't get on TV. Can't get on TV because they're not worth a fuck, right? I mean, it's a wild, wild, wild scene. Tone has a question for you.
Yeah, A-Rod, we always talk about NFL guys when they get drafted and they come in. It's good to have good leaders on the team. And then I wanted to translate that to baseball with you. You come into the Mariners organization and Griffey's there and he's basically the star of the MLB and Edgar Martinez is there. Like how huge was that for you to see basically the face of the league at the time and see what he goes through every day and how he approaches every day? Like how big was Griffey for your career?
Yeah. And it's a great question. You know, I describe this as imagine if you have a son and you get to send him to play college basketball for Duke and to play for Coach K. It's a safe environment, is one that you can develop. That's how I felt going as an 18-year-old in the big leagues into Seattle to have the mentorship and tutelage of, Lou Piniella, Ken Griffey, Edgar Martinez, Jay Bone Buhner, who was a stud, Randy Johnson, right? It was an epic roster. And it was phenomenal. And to your question, having a guy like Ken Griffey Jr., who was also a #1 pick 6 years before me, was an incredible role model. And it's not only that he was the Michael Jordan of baseball in the face of Nike, in the face of baseball, but it was also that he was an incredible human being, a great father, great husband, and just someone for me to kind of watch and learn from.
Yeah, and incredible swing.
Oh
yeah.
Clean.
Sweetest. I mean, I just talked about it. Literally, I wasn't a baseball kid, and I used to do that entire thing. A-Rod, we appreciate you taking time here. We know that you are currently promoting something that is making the world a much better place with gum disease alongside Pharma. I didn't want to get that wrong. Pharma. They're teaming up to help fight gum disease. Did you know, that this affects 65 million Americans?
Wow.
That's a lot.
Hey, that's a lot of people, A-Rod. I'm happy you're telling people about this because I'm probably one of them if I had to guess. What do we need to do? We need to brush better? What do we need to do to help this?
I think all of that. I mean, look, look, AJ and Pat, I'm sure you hate going to the dentist just as much as I do. But I went recently to see my dentist in this great partnership with Pharma. We're spreading the word. I found out that I had gum disease. Of course, that was alarming. But, quickly we found out there's, you go to arrestim.com, you get all the information you can. It's really, really prevalent in Black and brown community, especially like my Latino community. Go out, see your dentist, ask questions. And the best thing you can do is get ahead of it early. And there's a way you can treat it. And hopefully you can land your plane. But again, thank you for letting me talk about that. And it's something that I'm really proud to spread the word.
Hell yeah, man. Thank you for talking about it. I think I'm going to take a nice look in the mirror. I hate going to the doctor.
It's the worst.
Terrible.
You never go to the doctor with good news, right? So you're obviously not going to love the doctor, but you never go to the dentist until it's horrible news.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So every time you walk in there, it's the worst news imaginable. Mm-hmm. And then what else? Oh, yeah,
Talking to you.
Gums are bleeding.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're going to be miserable for the next day. It is not fun at all.
No.
Need to do it.
Yeah.
Need to do it, A-Rod?
Yes, got to do it. Got to do it.
Get that laughing gas so they can turn that shit up.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Hall of Famer in our book.
That's right.
And in real life should be. Alex Rodriguez. Thank you.